welcome to Legacy IAS. In today's video, we're looking at a new snippet that states India not getting a permanent seat at UNSC is not good for the global body. Estonia blasts UNSC, calls efforts to stop Russia's war in Ukraine. US President Biden says he supports India as a permanent member of reformed UNSC, etc. So, we're coming up a lot of things here, a lot of news, but one thing still remains common, that being your UNSC, nothing but your United Nations Security Council. So, as we've come across a lot in this word, let's look at what is UNSC, when was it formed, what is the composition, and how is it relevant for today. Okay. Now, the history of UNSC dates back to 1945. Okay, it is one of the principal organs of the other 6 bodies of United Nations. As the name states, Security Council, something it means it deals with peace and international security. Okay, now it is headquartered at New York. The composition of UNSC or Security Council is of 15 members, 5 being permanent members, 10 non-permanent members. Look at the words here, permanent, non-permanent, indicating time duration. Permanent being they are going to be there forever or as long as the council exists. Then comes the non-permanent, which means they are not there forever. They are bound to change in a specific time duration. Now here that time duration is 2 years. Okay. Now, who are those 5 permanent members? United States, Russia, France, China and United Kingdom. Okay. Next. What is India's relationship with UNSC? Okay. India for the 8th time has entered UNSC as a non-permanent member in 2021. So we've been speaking enough about Security Council. Now we enter into what is the importance of UNSC. Okay. The geopolitical realities of 21st century forms cornerstones of security. If it doesn't ensure adequate representation, Security Council legitimacy and authority is at risk. Now we'll come back to this a little later. Okay, we'll read ahead. We'll see how this point pertains with the other one. Okay. Now see, at a point of time when the Security Council was created, okay, the scenario was different. But the 21st century, right now, 2022, whatever we are speaking, is a different situation, is a different global order. Okay, we have the ground realities which are extremely contrasting to what once was, or what once was when the conception of Security Council was visualized. Okay, now if that Security Council doesn't change alongside the time, if that Security Council is not time tested, if it is not evolving basically, okay, then the entire concept of Security Council, the entire concept of Security Council being in par with the present, okay, that becomes a worthless concept. How is it? If Security Council still is based on whatever the scenario was during 1945, how will it be if it is not evolved, if it is not caught up with 2022? From the time of 1945 to 2022, we have come a long way as a world, as a nation, as a grouping, as a region. Okay, if such an important organization, we said UNSC is important. How is it important? Now United Nations, we said that have multiple organs. Among all the organs, Security Council is the one organ whose decisions are binding on its member countries, who has the ability to impose sanctions on other countries, who has the ability to blacklist a terror organization or a terror organization member. In such a case, UNSC becomes extremely important now more than ever for security concerns, peace challenges and maintaining the world, and more importantly sustaining the world order. Okay, now maintaining has become a norm for us. Sustenance or sustainability is where the challenge lies. Okay, if we have to sustain the global order, what has to be done with respect to UNSC? How is it going to affect us? Okay, and what more changes has to be brought up so that it will be on par with the present times? That's what we are going to see in today's video. The topic of today's video being UNSC reforms. Okay, let's enter into this. What are the reforms needed in UNSC? As it is highlighted, the categories of membership, how the members are chosen. Okay, questions of veto power held by the 5 permanent members. When we say permanent, indicating that they are going to be there for a longer time. okay, indicating they have a higher weightage or a higher say in the matters compared to the non-permanent members. Okay, and how is the regional representation there? As we said, the power block has shifted. The powers which are at play have shifted than what was once in 1945. Are those regions represented? Comes under this. The size of an enlarged council alongside the relationship between the Security Council and General Assembly. Both of this being a very, very important organization, and their working has to be synonymous to each other rather than being antonymous, okay, or anonymous. Each member of the Security Council has one vote. A no vote from one of the 5 permanent members blocks the passage of a resolution. Let's say a couple of countries now are facing an issue of terror crimes, organized crimes, etc. They come up with the organization as to who is behind this, and they come to UNSC. They ask the backing of one of the permanent members and they bring up the issue. But if another permanent member says no, okay, or he doesn't agree to it, then the resolution doesn't get passed. Okay, thus the whole purpose of they coming up, the other countries coming up with it and then getting the backing of another permanent member, all these goes waste. Okay, what is supposed to be, now this is something we call as security issues. Okay, this cannot take huge number of time, this cannot prolong a longer time. Okay, this has to be acted upon quickly. Okay, because terror organizations, if they are infiltrating, if they are affecting one region, now in a globalized world, it affects all the other regions too, and for that we have to act quickly rather than play politics in there. Understanding? Now under that perspective it becomes very difficult. Okay, what has to be quick now takes extremely long, tedious process. Okay, that becomes another disadvantage of such an important organization. Okay, next, absence of records, text of meetings, making it a closer meeting on a large scale. Yes, now all it doesn't happen. For example, your General Assembly, the way it operates, okay, it is not as same as what Security Council operates. Or more, basically here the simplicity is transparency is needed. Power play in UNSC. The veto powers concentrated on UNSC's 5 permanent members, making it into a whims and fancies ground. Okay, one says yes, one says no, it goes down. Okay, that scenario cannot happen on an international sphere when it's affecting large number of people, large amount of sections. Okay, larger and larger emotions are at play here. Okay, the UNSC in its current form has become constrained in its understanding and international changes and dynamics in the area of human security and peace. Human security and peace has formed the crux, the crucial, the most important element of humanity at this point of time more than ever. Okay? Now, what should be our road ahead? How should the UNSC reforms be sustainable so that we can maintain the order? Okay? Any reform of Security Council would require the agreement of at least 2/3 of United Nations member states in a vote in the General Assembly, and must be ratified by 2/3 of the member states. Okay, so this is what we said in one of the slides as to the association between General Assembly and Security Council. Okay, all of the permanent members of the UNSC who have veto rights must also agree. Okay, the imbalances in power relationship among the P5 being the permanent 5 and the rest of the world needs to be corrected urgently, because this is not a metamorphical process that we can have. This is a rapid mobilization that we are supposed to be doing. Okay, rather than a metamorphosis, this is a mass mobilization that has to happen. This has to be a rapid mobilization that has to happen, because huge number of masses are involved. The world in order is at stake. Okay, it is a need of the hour to reform the Security Council through an expansion in permanent and non-permanent seats to enable UN organ to better deal with the ever complex and evolving challenges. Basically, like we said, there are different powers at play now. What once was important is now not so much important. What once was not at all important is now gaining importance, is now obtaining the main stage. One such thing is your G4 countries or Group 4 countries being India, Germany, Japan and Brazil, who are asking for a permanent membership at United Nations Security Council. More than any other countries, India is contributing the more to the Indian peacekeeping forces. Yeah, at this point of time, the memberships has to be enlarged rather than constricted. At this point of time, more and more nations should be associated rather than being closed door policies. Your African bloc has to be associated, your South Asian blocs has to be associated, your South American blocs have to be associated, your European nation blocs have to be associated. Basically, these are the playgrounds of further global order. They are the playgrounds at force. They are the players at the center of the field who are now playing a predominant role and position. So now more than ever, UNSC has to reform if it has to sustain, maintain, and be relevant to the current society. Okay, so now more than ever, UNSC reforms are more at a hot topic rather than it was since the beginning or a couple of years before. Okay, if you like these videos, do subscribe and pass it along to your friends. Thank you for watching.